South Africa is rich in endemic biota and is widely known around the world for its incredibly diverse and complex Cape Floristic kingdom. The high endemism and the 1,400 Red Data Book flora species found in this area make it the most densely populated area when it comes to rare species. Of the 6 floral kingdoms, the Cape Floristic region is the smallest, comprising mainly of evergreen shrubs. The most common vegetation type found here is fynbos, and there are more than 8,600 species of flowering plants found in this region, of which 70% are endemic. Fynbos is a pyrophilic vegetation, meaning that it is fire dependent. The fire plays a major role in stimulating new growth and is required every 10 to 20 years. The fire stimulates seed germination and acts as a mineralizing agent. Majority of the fynbos will die with the seeds stored in the canopy or the nutrient-poor soils. Now that we've given a little background on fynbos, it is time to discuss one of the biggest threats, this being alien invasive trees, more specifically pine trees. Are pine trees indigenous to South Africa? No. Pine trees are not indigenous to South Africa. The seeds for various types of pine trees were first brought over in the 17th century by the first governor of the Cape, Mr. Jan van Riebeeck. His cargo included Scots pine, Norway spruce, oak, and ash tree seeds. In South Africa, plantation forestry contributes about $300 million annually to the economy, which is about 2% of our GDP, and employs about 100,000 people. Industries associated with forestry produce timber products with roughly $1.6 billion annually. The most important species in South African forestry are the Pinus eleoati, Pinus patua, and Pinus taeda. Inevitably, pine plantations have been the most important source of seeds, which has allowed for the establishment of these species and rendered them invasive and problematical. The South African forestry industry plants 360,000 trees every working day. That's more than 90 million trees every year. Besides the effects through altered fire regimes and erosion, the main threats are on the native flora and fauna and South Africa's scarce water supplies. For those of you that don't know, pine trees are evergreen, meaning that they retain their leaves year-round. As a result, their leaves are constantly undergoing transpiration and therefore use more water in a year than your typical seasonal vegetation. Invasive species have the potential to decrease the diversity of native plants by 50 to 86% in the Cape Peninsula. When compared to other environments, shrublands have the largest decline of species richness when invaded by invasive species. Pine trees are particularly successful in regions with fynbos vegetation because it is adapted to high-intensity fires, thus allowing it to outcompete other species that are not as well adapted. It depends on the time of year and the availability of groundwater, but on average, any tree can consume 25 to 50 liters per day. Observations showed an average of 25 seedlings per square meter within the first year of sexual maturation, and then slowly decreased the next 2 years due to intraspecific competition. These pine species have greatly invaded conservation areas, replaced natural fauna, and diminished water runoff in catchment areas. Pine needles have a pH of around 3.6. Pine trees are constantly shedding them, and as a result, a thick layer is formed on the forest floor. Together with the high acidity, lack of sunlight from the tree canopy, and dense root systems that steal all the water, these needles prevent weeds and other plants from establishing themselves along the forest floor, essentially creating a monoculture and outcompeting all the other native vegetation. We are so blessed to have such unique and beautiful biodiversity in South Africa. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and have a better understanding on the importance of conserving our native flora and fauna.